Well, the first step in creating a new law is really starting with an idea of something that needs to be started or something that needs to be changed. And so oftentimes what we get are our constituents or people that we represent coming to us with ideas about what they've noticed in their everyday lives that needs to be fixed. And we kind of talk about it and we figure it out and we figure out how we can change that idea into language where we can make it a bill and then a law.
And an idea can come from an individual, from a group of people, from an organization, or perhaps from an experience that a legislator might have had in their own professional career before coming to the legislature.
Sometimes people come up with the idea because a constituent came to me about it. Sometimes you come up with an idea because I saw something on the news. Sometimes you come up with an idea because it's a policy area that you work in, and I'm a very big environmentalist, so sometimes I'd see something that happened and I was like, oh, we can fix this at the state. So the first step is to really come up with the idea that you want to work on.
So the individuals who work at Ledge Council to make our ideas much, much better into legal language are oftentimes lawyers themselves, who instead of going out and practicing in a courtroom have decided that they want to work on the policy side of legislation. And so they work with us legislators and other organizations to make sure that what we're saying is correct legally and also won't get the state into any trouble on a legal standpoint.
Proposed new laws are written by the Office of the Legislator. It could be an idea that's written down, but then it really gets formulated by Legislative Council. That's where it really becomes a bill, because it's written in a way that we make sure that it fits with the Constitution, that it fits with other laws that are already into place, and that it doesn't counterbalance or create a conflict with something perhaps that you're trying to fix, but there might be something else already in the laws that is already addressing that issue. So Legislative Council is a group of professional attorneys who write these laws and help you put them into a format that then can be introduced in the legislature.
So many people ask what the difference is between a bill and a law. A bill is an idea that has been created or written in legal form, and it is being introduced into legislation to be discussed and voted on. And once it's passed both houses, it goes to the governor's desk. And it is not until he signs it that it actually becomes a law. Prior to the governor signing it, it's just a bill, but after he signs it, it's actually a law.
Well, a new bill idea can take a long time to get introduced. It could be something that you work on for months. It could be something that you work on very quickly because it's responding to a crisis that exists. Typically, though, people are thinking about these ideas for a few months. They write it down into a proposal. It then gets drafted into an actual bill with language that's written by the Legislative Council's office. And then it gets introduced, and then it goes through the process.
It does not matter if the bill originates in the Assembly or the Senate, because it has to be voted and passed through both houses before it can get to the governor's desk to be signed.
It goes through either the Assembly if it gets introduced in the Assembly, and then over to the Senate, and then back to the Assembly, or it begins in the Senate if it's introduced in the Senate, then it goes to the Assembly and back to the Senate for a final vote.
My first attempt at passing a bill was actually pretty exciting because it was brand new for me. And so to be able to go through the process of taking something from an idea to an actual bill, presenting it in committees and discussing it with my other colleagues to get them to sign it, to presenting it on the floor and then having to do that all over again in the other house, which is the Senate. And then also talking with the governor and his staff to make sure that they signed it once it got to his desk. It was pretty exciting. And so I was very happy when my first bill that came from my office was actually signed into law.
Well, one of the first bills really came from an idea from a constituent, someone who lives in the community that I represent. And it was a young person who understood about an issue that really mattered to her. It was a bill regarding genetic testing and how that impacts medication that people take. And the idea came from her informing me about it. I had no experience with this issue or with the subject matter, but she really explained it to me, and I thought it was really important to share that with the rest of California. And so the idea was shared with me, and then we looked at how we could write this into a law and what has been done before and worked off of that, and now we have a bill that's going through the process.